Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Open Mic here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it's an awesome privilege to have you guys joining me here today. And this is the afternoon show where it's just an open virtual water cooler where it's just all of us film fans standing around talking about our favorite things, movies, movie news, a little bit of television if you want, a little bit of MMA if you want, a little bit of anything if you want. That's what we're here to do. So let's not waste any time. Let's dive right into it. And we're going to start things off today with the first question from Time Lords, who writes, thoughts on Star Trek Enterprise. Here's the thing about Enterprise. I thought it was a great idea. I hated the opening theme song with the Rod Stewart. It's been a long road getting from there to here. It was a terrible choice for an opening theme for a Star Trek show. I dug the first season. I liked the characters, but for whatever reason, after the first season, I lost interest. And I can't really specify, specifically why I lost interest, but I did after the first season. There's storylines that they adopted I never got into, even though, I liked Archer and I liked the Vulcan character and I liked his engineer and I liked a lot of the characters. The setup was good. All the pieces were there, but for whatever reason, after the first season, I just sort of lost interest. Let's see. Adam Griffin, or I will say it was a pretty good series finale. The series finale with Riker in it, that was pretty good. Adam Griffin writes, happy opening day, treasured baseball memory. I'll be honest with you, I don't like baseball that much. I don't even consider baseball a sport. I consider it a game. Much like darts is a game. Takes a lot of skill. To play darts. Takes a lot of skill to play baseball. I don't consider baseball players athletes per se, but hey, that's just me. But my favorite baseball memory is clearly the first year the Toronto Blue Jays won the World Series. And being in downtown Toronto as the celebrations, Toronto showing the rest of the world how you do celebrations when your sports team wins. Not by looting and destroying and breaking things, but just millions of people taking to the street, just partying in the street and having a good time. I remember walking by this cop car and a bunch of people rocking the cop car back and forth. We weren't trying to destroy it because the cops were in the cop car. I kid you not. The cops were in the cars. Everybody's rocking the car. And the cops are just like with their hands out the windows. Yeah! Like the cops were partying with the people and I saw skinheads high-fiving black dudes together. Everybody was just having a party. It was a great time. It was a great atmosphere. And again, Toronto's not even my hometown, but I was really proud of that city. The way they partied the first World Series anyway. So that'll always be my most treasured baseball memory. Okay, next one comes to us from Maximum Effort 44T, who writes, thanks for getting me into both Supernatural and Lucifer. Well, hey man, that's one of the best things about the show, right? It's like you guys recommend things to me, I recommend things to you. You can get things into that maybe you wouldn't have gotten into before. Love those kinds of shows that kind of blend mythology with real life. Great shows, yeah. And Lucifer, finally saw the newest episode of Lucifer. I was behind a day or two, but I'm really loving what they're doing with Lucifer right now. And my whole life is about waiting to watch Scooby-Natural, the Scooby-Doo Supernatural crossover. Cannot wait. Somebody sent me this great tweet that said, Marvel saying the Avengers Infinity War greatest crossover event of all time. Yeah? That's nice. Scooby-Doo and Supernatural is coming. So watch yourself. Anyway, so that's what I'm excited about. Okay. Digoto1 writes, do you watch American Horror Story? Nah, I don't. I kind of mentioned that a few times. I've never watched American Horror Story, which is kind of weird because all my friends tell me I should, but I've just never watched a single episode of it. Luke1234 writes, what's your favorite music video? I love Stone Temple Pilots, Soul Girl, and Virtual Insanity by Jamiroquai. Streets Have No Name, which is also my all-time favorite song. So there's some bias there, obviously, but Streets Have No Name by U2, them performing on the rooftop. That was, it's my all-time favorite music video. Let's see. Dagoto1 writes, what are your thoughts on Spielberg's Munich? I think it's one of the most underappreciated films. It is one of his most underappreciated films. Munich is powerful. So powerful. And the fact that it's based around true events adds to the power of the film. I still think the most underrated and underappreciated Spielberg film is Amistad, which is also just happens to be my favorite Spielberg film, period. I think Amistad is my favorite Steven Spielberg film, and it's the one nobody talks about. Nobody talks about Amistad. And I think it's his best film. But anyway, that's just me. Let's see. Matthew Koss writes, I'm a big Smallville fan, loving seeing Tom Welling on Lucifer, get a big kick out of it. Not the best actor by any means, but a very subtle one. Yeah, I didn't know what I thought about him popping up on Lucifer. But you know what? I'm totally on board with him on Lucifer now. Because at first, like the first episode, all I saw was young Clark Kent. I don't see that anymore. Now I just see Kane. That's all I see now is Kane. And he's worked his way into the show. I'm really digging him. I'm loving the interactions between him and Lucifer, the interactions between him and Amenadiel. He's just working on the show. And I'll be honest, I wasn't 100% sure that he would, but I'm totally into him being on the show now. So yeah, that gets a thumbs up from me. Let's see. Thunder Knight 19 writes, the ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Why didn't Jaja just listen to Quinn? Is he intelligent? I suspect. It's like, oh my God. Oh my God. One of the most painful scenes ever. One of the most painful. And yes, Thunder Knight, if only. If only at that point, Jar Jar just never spoke. Probably would have worked out a lot better. Dark Knight 46K writes, seeing Ready Player One in AMC Prime tomorrow. Awesome. Awesome. Very excited. Hoping for another Spielberg classic. I'm super pumped because I saw it in a very good movie theater, but I didn't get to see the press screening I went to was not an AMC Prime. I've got to go watch this movie in an AMC Prime because this is a movie that is worth watching in an AMC Prime. The spectacle of it's fantastic. The adventure of it's fantastic. I envy that you get to go see it. Let's see. Iggy is Horrible writes, the Campy Nuts. Name for your fans. I don't know about the Camping Nuts. I don't know about that one. I've certainly had some interesting ideas emailed to me in the past about, we're not Potterheads, we're not Trekkies, or like what are those of us who participate and watch, the John Campea show? I don't know. I don't know about the Camping Nuts. Creative thinking, but keep your thinking cap on. See if you can come up with some other ones. Old Flicks Joe writes, what's your Mount Rushmore of rated R comic book movies list? My list is Logan, Deadpool. Well, those two are no-brainers. Dread and Blade, nice picks. Keep up the fantastic work and take care. The other two, the two I would say would have to be in competition with Dread and Blade for those last two spots because Logan and Deadpool are no-brainers. Are probably Kick-Ass and the first Kingsman Secret Service. Those two got to be in competition for those last two spots. I'll go Dread and Kick-Ass. Although I'll go Logan, Deadpool, Dread, and Kick-Ass. But if you ask me tomorrow, I could switch up those last two a little bit because Kingsman could certainly be on there. And there certainly is an argument to be made. I would actually say not Blade, but maybe Blade 2. I prefer Blade 2 over Blade. I'm one of those guys that I prefer Blade 2. I just had a little bit more fun with it. But I think Kick-Ass needs to be on that list. So for now, I'll go with the same first three of yours, but I'll replace Blade with Kick-Ass. All right, what's next here? Next one comes to us from Sharana Aurora, who writes, in 2 years, Hybrid Theory will be 20 years old. I'm old. What's Hybrid Theory? Now I'm forgetting. I am drawing a blank on what Hybrid Theory is. Now I got to take a second and just see what that is. Linkin Park's album, of course. 20 years ago? That came out in 2000? Holy crap. Okay, yep. Yep, another installment of the We're Feeling Old show right now. Holy crap. Still such a tragedy about the lead singer, man. That's just awful. Old Flicks Joe writes, Speed or Die Hard with a Vengeance? Crap. I gotta remember now. Give me a second. Is Die Hard with a Vengeance Die Hard 3? Yes, it is. Die Hard with a Vengeance. Easy. Die Hard with a Vengeance. Die Hard with a Vengeance is actually my favorite one of the three. With Zeus and Jeremy Irons. Zeus Samuel Jackson. It's not Jesus. It's Hey Zeus. Not Jesus. Anyway, I love that. It is my favorite Die Hard movie. I'm once again firmly planted in the unpopular opinion ranks by that one because I know everybody prefers Die Hard 1, and I love Die Hard 1, but Die Hard 3, man. Die Hard 3. Die Hard with a Vengeance, easily. And I like Speed. No disrespect on Speed. I like Speed, but it's not in the same level to me as Die Hard with a Vengeance. Good Lord. I love Die Hard with a Vengeance. Maybe One Name writes, what's more important for an actor's career, making great performances or being in successful films? Great performances. Because, look, if you're saying you can only have one or the other, then we've seen some subpar performers in big movies and then never see them again. That happens. Great performances will pay off. If you get an opportunity to be in a movie and you get an opportunity to give a great performance, give the great performance. That will pay off. That will pay off. Yes, if you are a big star in a big hit movie, well, your movie's only going to become a hit as long if you're a lead, great. But if you're like a secondary character and you give a mediocre performance, it's not going to open a lot of doors for you. You give a great performance in a movie, that has the opportunity to open more doors for you later on. So I say great performances. Time Lords writes, hi, John. Oops, no, I lost it. Okay, sorry. A whole bunch more came in, so let me go back. Okay, here we go. Time Lords writes, if you were in charge at Warner Brothers and had to run the DCU, what would you greenlight first? Man of Steel 2 or Matt Reeves? Now, a lot of you might think I'm going to say Man of Steel 2 since Man of Steel is in my top 10 comic book films of all time list. But I'm not. I'm going to say the Matt Reeves Batman, and here's why. Because I believe the DCU needs to reboot, and you have a better chance of rebooting with Matt Reeves' Batman. Man of Steel 2 is not a reboot. But John, you love Man of Steel. I know, but if I'm in charge of Warner Brothers, I have to think about the big picture. If I was in charge of Warner Brothers, I got to think of the big picture, which is the health of the overall franchise. And just putting out Man of Steel 2 might be great for Man of Steel 2, but it's not what's best for the overall franchise. And if I'm in charge of Warner Brothers, that's the position you got to take. You got to take that. I'm not just responsible for one movie doing well. I'm responsible for a franchise. And what's the best thing for my franchise? A rebooted DCEU starting with Matt Reeves' Batman. So while what I as a fan want to see first is a Man of Steel 2, sure. But if I'm in charge of Warner Brothers, I can't think as a fan. I got to think of what's best for the overall big picture. And what's best for the overall big picture is rebooting and doing it with Matt Reeves' Batman. That's just my opinion. All right. Maybe One Name writes, on the end of Black Panther, I don't think Wakanda is completely open. Now I think they will slowly integrate into the rest of the world. Smooth transition. Yeah, it's possible. Although T'Challa puts them in an awkward position. When T'Challa says to the world, and we got to see how, when Infinity War starts, we got to see what's the position between the world and Wakanda right now. Because when T'Challa announces to the world, oh, hey, remember when my dad said we had no more vibranium? Yeah, funny story. Turns out we have 1,000 years worth of it in a giant mountain of vibranium. And our technology is way ahead of the rest of the world's. It's going to create, if they don't instantly share it, then you're going to create a situation where the world is going to be pressuring them. Some countries will be threatening them. You put the world on the brink of war if you're not just openly sharing with it. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. That's why I thought before Black Panther came out that the movie would not end with them revealing themselves to the world fully. Because you either got to share it all, or share it all, which fundamentally changes the entire MCU, or they don't, and they put the world on the brink of war. Like whether it's the United States or China or Russia or Canada, Canada with our hockey sticks, come and saying, hey, the vibranium may be on your land, but it's on all of our planet. You don't get to have it all. You give us some of that. I don't know. So it's going to be very interesting to see the way the MCU navigate. I'm sure they've got a plan. I'm sure they had a plan before they released Black Panther. I'm just very curious to see what that plan is. All right. Maximum Effort 44T writes, Khabib is a monster. Agree he takes the fight. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Tony is great. Tony is all kinds of great. Khabib is a living embodiment, a physical manifestation of your deepest, darkest nightmare. Like, Khabib is a bad man. So yeah, I'm taking Khabib in that. Oldflix Joe writes, Red Heat or Commando? Oh, another easy one for me, Commando. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate Red Heat. I appreciate seeing Arnold as a Soviet officer, but Commando. Yeah, Commando. I'm going to kill you last. Commando, yes. Dakota Barber writes, favorite Western, 310 to Yuma or Proposition for me, 310 to Yuma, the remake. Another example of where the remake is actually better than the original. You know, it's just one of these amazingly well put together movies where you have two of the best actors in the world at the moment, Christian Bale and Russell Crowe. And yet Ben Foster upstages both of them with a better performance than both of them. And both of them were great in it. But yeah, I really adore 310 to Yuma, more than most people. Miles Perdo writes, Ready Player One projected to open at 52 plus million, good number. Not bad. Not bad. I mean, it could have projected at a much bigger number if it wasn't for a horrible marketing campaign. I take that back. It wasn't a horrible marketing campaign. But it wasn't a particularly good marketing campaign. I know my expectations were measured, even though it's a Steven Spielberg film. My expectations were measured because that marketing campaign didn't do a ton for me. They put out the one trailer that was great, but by then it was almost too little too late. So I'll say, yeah, 52 million, all things considered, probably not a bad number. 52 million is probably not a bad number. Ben Hayusa writes, going to see Ready Player One later tonight, taking my mom with me. That's awesome. I wish I was in Canada right now so I could take my mom. I would love to take my mom to see Ready Player One. And I'm, again, just so jealous. I've already seen it for the first time. I can never watch it for the first time again. Jealous of you guys who get to go watch it for the first time. By the way, guys, you guys know I'm doing the Stardust thing, right? Stardust, so many of you guys have been using Stardust to send in reactions. A little bit of homework assignment for the weekend. Send me your reactions to Ready Player One. Because on Monday, I'm going to do this big feature spot of your guys sending me in your reactions and reviews of Ready Player One. So make sure when you go and watch Ready Player One this weekend, get on the Stardust app, download the app. You know what? I don't have the link. Make sure when you go get to Stardust app, the very first person you follow is me. So that way I get credit for you downloading it, because I forgot to put the download link in the description of this video. But yeah, that's your homework assignment. As soon as you see Ready Player One this weekend, open up the Stardust app, record your reaction, make sure you tag me on it, or else I won't necessarily see it. So make sure you tag me on it, because I want to put together a big conglomeration of your guys' responses and reactions to Ready Player One come Monday. All right, let's move on here. Edmund Zippo writes, the bombs in The Last Jedi were magnetic, no gravity involved. Well, there you go. That answers that question. Although if they're magnetic, why didn't they just shoot right back around and attach back to their own ship? Or, attach to another ship that flies by it? I don't know. Probably lots of questions that I'm sure they have answers to. Canada Rocks writes, best director without an Oscar, Hitchcock. Honorable mentions, Kubrick, Nolan. Wait a minute. Hitchcock? Hold a second. Now I got to check this out, because I thought, I could be very, very wrong. Well, he has an Oscar. You're right. He never won. He was nominated for Best Director 5 times, never won. But in 1968, he did get his Oscar. He got the Irwin G. Memorial Award. So he kind of got the Lifetime Achievement Award. So technically speaking, the Oscars recognized him. He's got that Oscar on his mantle. So, although technically it's not Best Director, it was Lifetime Achievement in recognition of him as a director, and they bestowed an Oscar on him. So technically speaking, he does have an Oscar. And it was given to him for his directing work, but it was for the body of his directing work. So I'll say that he's up there. Nolan's got to be in the conversation. Kubrick's got to be in the conversation. There's a few guys that have got to be in the conversation for that one for sure. Okay, let's see. Maybe One Name. Did I get that right? Yes, Maybe One Name writes, if the Disney-Fox deal goes through, do you think Disney will move Archer to the Disney streaming service? Disney will move Archer? Oh, to be honest with you, I'm not even sure they get Archer. Because I don't know that, I mean, it airs on FX, but I don't know that they're the production company behind it. There are a number of shows that air on FX that aren't FX's shows, they just air them. Like they're like some production company makes their show, they bring it to FX to air it. I don't know if the rights to Archer go along with it or not. So that's a big question. I have a feeling that it doesn't. Could be wrong about that, but I'll have to look into that. Let's see. ZOMG Ruler writes, John, are my favorite DCU questions getting too repetitive? Hey man, you ask whatever you want to ask. If you don't remember hearing me answer before and you like it talked about, by all means ask. Matt Thornton writes, let's see. What do you think the likelihood of Studio Ghibli coming out of their hiatus to make more movies is? If not, I hope Studio Ponok because a worthy successor. I think pretty good. I think the chances are high. It's a beloved, it is a beloved, loved, respected, recognized name. So, either they will or somebody will buy it and they'll start putting out. I think the chances are very high. I think the chances are very good and very high. Adam Griffin writes, I knew you'd say Toronto winning the World Series. I'm from Philly and they beat Philly. I think it was the second time. Wasn't it? I think it was their second World Series that they beat Philly. I'm from Philly and that home run is still imprinted in my mind. Damn you, Campea. I think that was, I could be wrong, but I think against Philadelphia was their second World Series. When Joe Carter hit that series-winning home run. What a memory. Like, what an all-time memory. The number Thor, I like that name. The number Thor writes, just was chilling at my girlfriend's house and she wanted to watch 50 Shades, but I think he meant her mom was on the other sofa, so just felt awkward watching it with my girlfriend and her mom. Have you ever had an awkward moment? Yes. Have had an awkward moment. A couple times where I was just like, okay, well, I'm out. I'm checking out of this, whether because my mom was in the room or, I remember me and my buddy took a friend of ours who was like this big church, like head of this big church organization, like really cool guy. And we said, hey, let's go see the Starship Troopers movie that's opening. It looks like a lot of fun. And we went and there's all this nudity and sex scenes. So that was a little uncomfortable with our friends. So there was that one. But yes, that was probably a good call, number Thor. Not to watch 50 Shades with your girlfriend's mom in the room, probably the right call. Good on you. Anthony R. writes, Iron Fist stripped of his powers versus Batman in combat. Dan trained for 15 years straight in just combat. Bruce didn't spend all of his years in combat. He also trained in school and other arts. Who wins? Batman wins. It always comes, look, again, it's who's the writer. But when it comes down to it, Batman wins. When Batman can beat Superman, Batman wins. Batman fighting Galactus, Batman wins. Batman fighting Darkseid, Batman wins. Batman, anything, I've always joked around about, but anything short of Jesus, Batman wins in the fight. Somehow, some way, he'll win in the fight. Let's see. Next one comes from Zombotron 5678 writes, Hey John, love the show. Thank you so much. I want to go mostly digital, but I don't want to rebuy my DVDs and Blu-rays. Any safe place I could transfer them to digital? Ooh, good question, because I don't know that Dropbox will let you do that, and Dropbox is really limited. I have 100 gigs of storage on Google Drive, but I don't know if they allow you to store that. They might. A possible good one is Amazon hosting services. I know I've toyed around with getting Amazon hosting services just for something like that before. So that's something to look into. Check out on, because what you want to do is you want to have it separated. You want to have redundant backups. You want to have it on your computer. You want to have it on a separate drive. Like I got like several separate external solid state drives. And you also want to have it on the cloud. You want to have, if something's important, you want to have it backed up redundantly. I would say look into the Amazon Prime services and see if there could be something there. If not, maybe the Google Drive might be for you. I think you got to pay like, I don't know, $20 a year to get 100 gigs. I think you get like 10 gigs for free. You can get 100 gigs of storage for like $20 a year. Something really cheap and nominal. But look into that. Those could be good options for you. Okay, next one. Dim-Sum05 writes, would you pay $100 a month to stream all of iTunes catalog? No. No, 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 no. I would not, because I pay like, I don't know, $10 a month for Google Play Music, and I get to stream everything on Google Play Music. Or you're not talking just music catalog, you're talking about movie catalog too. $100 a month? No, still wouldn't do it. No, I just don't have enough time to sit down and watch older films every month to justify $100 a month. Like, for $100 a month, I could just rent on Google Play 20 movies. 20 times. And I don't have time to rewatch 20 movies I've already seen before in a month. Maybe if I'm lucky, I get to watch maybe 4 or 5. So $100 a month, nope, way too much. It just wouldn't for me. Now, if you're somebody who watches 6 movies a day, maybe that's for you. But for somebody like me that I only get to watch, like, rewatch movies I've already seen at home, probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 times a month, then $100 a month is just not worth it. Not at all. Maybe one name writes, in my opinion, X-Men didn't reboot First Class was a prequel, and Days of Future retcons a lot, but we're still in continuity with the original X-Men films. No, you're not. But you're right and you're wrong. You're right in the fact that they didn't reboot. No. But you're wrong in thinking they're in continuity, because they're also not in continuity. Fox's here's the thing. Here's the big secret. They've never been in continuity. There's never been an X-Men continuity. They do their next film, and yeah, maybe they'll carry a bunch of stuff over, but the X-Men, the people behind the X-Men films have never felt any responsibility to be consistent with the previous movies. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. You walk into the hallowed halls of Fox, and etched in stone on the walls is X-Men. Continuity, schmontinuity. That's what it is. So you are absolutely right. Those were not reboots. But you're also wrong that they're in continuity. No, they're not. No, none of these movies are in continuity with each other. Logan's not in continuity. Nothing they've ever done is in continuity. They do carry a bunch of stuff over, but they have no sense of any responsibility to be a continuous story thread, per se. They will pick some things up, carry a bunch of things over, have some things move from one film to the next, absolutely, but they feel no responsibility for any continuity whatsoever. So that's just kind of the way, and it's worked for them. I'm not criticizing them, it's worked for them, I guess. So, hey, there it is. The number Thor writes, thoughts on the movie Remember the Titans? Oh, liked it a lot. I like most people did. I really like Remember the Titans. Next one comes for us from Jordan Benjamin, who writes, hey, John, did you watch Stranger Things? Shame the guy who plays Will's brother won't be in season 3. Heard he's got a massive drug addiction. Did you hear? I did not hear that he won't be in season 3. What I heard was, I also didn't hear that he has a massive drug addiction. If I remember correctly, what I read in the actual report was that, like, he got busted with, like, some small amount of a narcotic in his luggage or something like that. And he wasn't able to go into some country because he got busted with some small amount of a narcotic. Now, everything you're saying may be completely true. I'm saying that's not what I've heard. I don't know if there's some broken telephone going on. I don't know if I'm just missing out, but I never heard he's got a massive drug problem. I also didn't hear he won't be in season 3. I didn't hear that. So maybe that's true. Maybe so. I'm just saying that the last thing I heard about it was just that, yeah, he got busted. He couldn't get into this one country. He had a small amount of something on him. But that's the only thing official that I've heard. Again, maybe there is more to it that I just didn't pay attention to because I don't care about celebrity gossip. But I'll have to keep. But I love Stranger Things. I think I like Stranger Things season 2 even more than Stranger Things season 1. All right. Next up, Superman writes, will we see Tyrese in fantastic Fast and Furious 9 after everything? God, I hope not. I hope not. I'm a Tyrese fan, but after all that bullshit he pulled, all that pathetic, whiny bullshit that he pulled, like airing out dirty laundry and going public with, like, if you got some problem with somebody, you don't get on Twitter, you don't get on Facebook and start airing it out publicly. Like, if why he started that, now if somebody starts something with you publicly, well, then you kind of have no choice. You got to respond publicly. But the fact that he started this whole thing publicly with The Rock and everything, it's just like, what was that? You just damaged the brand. You damaged the image of the franchise. You're going after one of the stars of the film, who's a bigger star in it than you. It was just, and then he just came across like a whiny little douche. And I lost a lot of respect for Tyrese during that. Now, I understand he had a whole bunch of personal problems going on and all that kind of stuff. That does not excuse your behavior, though. That doesn't excuse your behavior. I felt bad for him, all that kind of stuff, but you don't take it out on somebody else. Start taking stuff public, putting a billion-dollar franchise at risk by airing dirty laundry and all that kind of stuff. No way. Like, if I'm in charge of that studio, it's like, thanks for all you've done, Tyrese. You've been great, and I wish you well, but you can't be in our movies anymore because you may snap again tomorrow. Like, if Ludacris says something nasty to you over lunch, you're going to hop on Twitter again and damage our property again? Oh, you promise you won't? I have no reason to believe you. So, I don't know. Maybe he will. I don't know. But all I know is that if I'm in charge of that, no way. If I'm The Rock or Vin Diesel or Ludacris, there's no way I want that guy back. No way I want that guy back. You've totally broken trust. Totally broken trust. Let's see. The number Thor writes, do you think Lesnar would be better off going to Bellator after WrestleMania rather than UFC? Would he have more of a chance of a bigger comeback in Bellator? Nah, it all depends. Like, look, if he comes back into the UFC and they give him what he should get, when anybody in his position should get, forget his name. Forget that he's Brock Lesnar, all right? If he came back, a fighter with his record, to get back into the mix of the UFC, he should fight a relatively decent up-and-coming heavyweight. That's who he should fight. But if they throw him right back in there and try to set up a fight with Stipe Miocic, or they put him right back in there and have him have a fight, I don't know, like name any top 3 or top 4 heavyweight, then that's a disaster waiting to happen. If he goes back in, fights some guy who's 4-1, fights some guy who's 5-2, which is a guy with his record and where he is in his career as a 40-year-old dude, that's what he should be fighting. Or UFC says, hey, look, Cain Velasquez is back. It's probably not a good matchup for you, but Cain versus Brock would be a big pay-per-view draw. We'll pay you $2 million to do that fight. Maybe if you're Brock Lesnar, you don't care. You're thinking, man, I'm almost at the end of my run. Collect a $2 million payday for a fight that I'll probably use. Get my ass beaten for maybe 15 minutes for $2 million. Yeah, I'll do that. So maybe he does that. But if he seriously wants to if Brock wants to have a serious number 4 or 5 fight run, then he needs to start with a middling guy and test himself. Shake off the rust, get back into the swing of things. He had a really nice fight against Mark Hunt, but he's got to show us more. So that's what I don't think Bellator is the way to go. He's not going to get the paycheck at Bellator. He's just not going to get the attention or the payday at Bellator that he can get in the WWE, in the UFC. All right. Darth Wayne 97 writes, hey, John, would you say the fun and adventurous blockbuster Spielberg is back, now with Ready Player One? Yes. Seeing it tomorrow and really excited. P.S. I turned 21 today. Well, happy birthday, Darth Wayne. Congratulations. Yeah, that's one of the things I said in my review is that, you are reminded watching Ready Player One that no director ever has been as good as Steven Spielberg at capturing the adventure. It's the sense of adventure. A lot of movies have great action, but quite often in their action, it's like you don't feel a sense of adventure. Spielberg has a way of making you feel like you're on an adventure when the action is going on, in a way that other critics or other directors just have never been able to do the same way. So anyway, so there's that. So yes, and again, man, happy birthday. Okay, next one. Sorry, I got a bunch more questions. Gotta back up. Okay, here we go. And by the way, guys, if you haven't sent in a super chat question yet, probably time to cut it off. I might be able to get through all the ones that I have, but I can't guarantee I'll be able to get through all the ones that I have. Any ones that I don't get to during this live show, don't forget, I will incorporate those into a companion video. That'll come up later. All right. Frost 1977 writes, hey, John, been watching since The Man of Steel. You and Ann were doing movie blog from a closet. Thank you so much. Need her back now and then. Classy up the show. Is one of the Pacific Rim bots. I don't know what it is you're saying in the last part there. As far as Anne, it's difficult to do anything with Anne because when I make my videos between, my first show goes live at 8:30. I kind of wrap up my next day's show notes by like 7:30 at night. Anne's at work. I mean, the last show that I shoot is open mic. That's the last video I shoot every day. And that goes on at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Anne's at work. My first show is 8:30. She's leaving for work. Other videos I shoot are in between those hours, and all the rest of the night I'm writing notes. But I mean, Anne can't. That's the unfortunate thing. I really don't. Anne's not home to be on any of them. That really sucks. The only way I could get her on is by putting her on in a Stardust review that I did the other day. But I'm sure she'll be thrilled to hear that you mentioned that. All right. Andrew Lee writes, regarding bombers in The Last of the Jedi, my interpretation, the bombs are pushed out like a plunger in a syringe. That magnetic gravity could be a whole bunch of different things, but I've got some people telling me that it's actually a magnetic thing that they did. Linda Chavez just sends in a super chat. Thank you so much, Linda. Although I'm curious what PEN is. Now I got to look that up. What is PEN? Hold a second. PEN currency. Just because I want to know what it is. Peruvian. All right. Thank you, Linda. From Peru. Prediction for Ready Player One opening weekend, 55. I'm going to go 55 is going to be my prediction, but I'm not really sticking to that prediction. It could be 40. It could be 65. I mean, so there's kind of a big window there, like a 30% window there that it could fall into, but just off the cuff, I'll say 55. But I'm not willing to stand on that too hard. All right. Lord Benjamin writes, me and my other half went to see Uprising tonight, and we enjoyed it more than Pacific Rim 1. Boyega was great. Is there unfair criticism? Shame no Charlie Hunnam. Well, no, it's not unfair criticism. I mean, people criticize. They're just telling what their experience was. And I'll be honest with you, I was disappointed with Pacific Rim 2. I thought it was pretty poor. The action scene was great, but it was one scene that we had to wait till the end of the movie to do. Not a bad little twist with the villain. That was kind of neat, but for everything else for me fell flat. I'm super hyped that it worked for you. I'm glad you had a good time. That's great. All film is subjective. Art hits us in different ways, and it hit you in a very positive way. That's great. But for me, I was let down by it. I was kind of disappointed by it. It had some big highlights, but for the most part, I just felt like as a movie kind of felt flat, which is really unfortunate because I'm a big fan of Stephen S. DeKnight, the dude who directed the film. He also did Daredevil Season 1, and he did Spartacus, which is one of my top 3 all-time favorite television shows. So I was disappointed. I was really looking forward to it, but it didn't quite work for me. Let's see. Brandon Preve 1432 writes, if box office numbers say they've made 500 million and it's a 70-30 split on ticket price, is 500 only the 70% or do they count all? No, the box office is just the box office just tells you this many people bought tickets at this price. There's the box office number. You have to do the math yourself later. Because it's different markets, different percentages. So they don't do the math for you. They tell you, this movie made $100 million at the box office. And what the split of all that becomes later, that's a separate issue. But if they say it made $100 million at the box office, that's how much it made at the box office. You got to do all the math and the split for between the studio, them, what other side deals there are, all that other kind of stuff, add marketing costs, blah, 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 blah. The box office number doesn't take any of that into consideration. It just tells you the pure raw number. This is how much it made at the box office. Now, how much that gets eaten away because of marketing costs, how much of that gets eaten away because of the studio split, how much of that gets eaten away because of other side deals, blah, blah, blah. That's all a separate issue to be handled by you or other people. The box office number just gives you the flat, pure number. This is how many people bought tickets and went to go see it. So that's that. Let's see. Next one comes to us from Adamus95, who writes, finished watching First Blood. Oh my God, I love First Blood. Sylvester just kills it with a fantastic performance at the end. In fact, overall, I would have nominated him for something. A lot of people, when they think of Rambo, all people, and understandably so, all they think about is what the Rambo series turned into after the first film. It just became a big warrior action kind of thing. But the first film First Blood was a thinking man's action film. It's actually got a deep story with a dude struggling back from war, not knowing even who he is or what he is outside of war, what this regular world is. And it's a powerful movie with powerful performances by Sylvester Stallone, by Brian Dennehy, by the way, who's in Blacklist right now. It's a fantastic movie. It is the best of the Rambo films. It is the most unique of all the Rambo films. Because like I said, Rambo turned into something else after First Blood. But First Blood, it was a different kind of, it was a character. The movie was about a character. And it's just a beautiful movie. So I'm really thrilled that you had a chance to watch that, Adamus. All right. Next one comes us from I'm a Real Human Person, who writes, "Hey, John, love the work. Thank you so much. What happened to Eastern Promises sequel? I just never got off the ground as far as I know. Let me just look up something here quick. Now, in 2017, last year, like the beginning of the year, there was a report that said a sequel would start filming in March of 2017. Well, now we're a full year after that, and we still haven't heard anything about it. So I'm just guessing the wheels came off it. I never felt like that was a movie that needed a sequel. Well, granted, no movie ever needs a sequel, granted. But despite the fact that I like Eastern Promises, I felt like it was a one-shot movie. Certainly there were things you could do with it as a sequel, and maybe someday it'll get resurrected. But yeah, the last thing we heard was at the beginning of 2017, they said, oh, in a couple months they're going to start shooting a sequel, and that was a year ago, and nothing still ever happened. So I'm guessing it's dead. But who knows, it could pop back up. But I mean, the longer it goes, the more time that's put between us and when the first Eastern Promises came out, it becomes less and less likely that's going to happen. Let's see here. Yesmail writes, can Infinity War stink? Russo's not known for good villains. Yeah, but not every film needs a good villain. I mean, hell, look at Civil War. Civil War is freaking brilliant. Zemo was a pretty poor villain, but the movie is freaking awesome. You can have a subpar villain and still make a magnificent movie. You can have, you don't have to have everything goes right in order to make a great movie. You can, as long as you've got 73 out of the 75 things go well, and you do 2 things bad out of the 75, you're going to end up with a great movie. They've done great. And this is going to be the first time that a lot of emphasis is going to be put on the villain. We haven't had, other than Loki, we haven't had an MCU movie where there's been given much attention to the villain in the first place. So they're giving us a villain who's a central character here. That's not something they've ever done before. So I'm going to put it this way. I think Thanos can end up being underwhelming, and the movie could still be awesome. At the same time, Thanos can be a great villain, and the movie may suck. So if you're asking the question, can Infinity War stink? You bet your ass it can stink. Yes, Infinity War could suck. Any film could suck. And Infinity War is no example. It could suck. Sorry, guys, but brace yourselves. It could. It's possible. I think it's unlikely. I think it's going to be amazing. But it is possible. So yeah, and it has nothing to do with Thanos. There are 1,000 different reasons why the movie may not work. So we'll just have to wait and see. I think it will be great, but again, it can be bad. KW Garrett writes, Ready Player One was awesome. I worry for its appeal to 50 plus people. Oh, I don't know about that. I've spoken to some people who are over 50 and loved it. Absolutely loved it. As a matter of fact, I think people over 50 are going to have a higher chance because they were just regular, grown-ass adults during the 80s, and they know all these things a lot better than 20-year-olds would know it. I would trust somebody in their 50s point of view, opinion of Ready Player One, a lot more than I take somebody who's 21. Because, child, you weren't even born yet in 1980. So I'm not worried about people who are 50 plus. They will probably have a better perspective of this movie than anybody else. So I wouldn't worry about that. Dante Redgrave writes, not to brag, but I think I was born in one of the best years for cinema. 94 had Shawshank, Lion King, Pulp Fiction, Forrest Gump, True Lies. Oh, yeah. Other good film years, tons and tons of good film years, tons and tons and tons of good film years. I'm not going to sit here in a half-hour discussion about analyzing each individual film year, but yes, 94 was a spectacular year. The year that Forrest Gump won Best Picture, which it never should have, because Shawshank Redemption is one of the greatest films of all time. And absolutely should have won Best Picture, but still, Forrest Gump is magnificent. It was a year where you had Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction, Forrest Gump all in the running for Best Picture that year. Crazy. Just crazy. It was a crazy good year, man. Awesome year in film. Dante Redgrave writes, oh, wait a second. Did I already do that one? Oh, no. Oh, you just accidentally put it in there twice. Sorry about that, Dante. The number Thor writes, best actor without an Oscar, Chiwetel Ejiofor. Oh, hey, I think Chiwetel Ejiofor is the most underappreciated, most underrated actor in the business. However, there are just some people who have been in that line for a longer time. So he'd be in my top 5. Chiwetel would be in my top 5. Other than Darth Vader, my favorite on-screen villain, other than Vader and Hans Gruber, my favorite all-time villain as the agent or the operative in Serenity. Haskell 420 writes, hey, John, in one of the behind-the-scenes MCU videos, Robert Downey Jr. and Boseman are talking and vibranium came up, and they acknowledge Tony has all the vibranium from Age of Ultron. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like, what are you going to do now? Is all of Iron Man suits going to be made of vibranium now? See, that's one of my big worries about this whole thing. So Spider-Man suits can be made of vibranium, and Iron Man suits are going to be made of vibranium, and War Machine suits going to be made of vibranium, and Black Widow's going to make her costume made out of vibranium, and everybody's going to have vibranium. Vibranium for everybody. Everybody has vibranium now. And I'm just, I don't like that. I don't like that at all, Haskell. It makes me a little bit nervous, to be honest with you. Angel Chang writes, about to watch Ready Player One in 10 minutes. Well, enjoy, sit back, relax, make sure you got your popcorn, make sure you've already gone to the bathroom. Oldflix Joe writes, are you planning to get any new Hot Toy figures? I am thinking, as a matter of fact, last night, Ann and I were going to run out to a couple of the gaming shops. Like, the shops where they got all the Dungeons and Dragons stuff, and they got, they're not comic book shops per se, but they got all the toys, they got all the Warhammer stuff, they got all the Dungeons and Dragons stuff, they got all the Magic the Gathering stuff, There's a couple of really amazing shops not far from where I live that has those. And anyway, last night, Ann and I were going to go, so I said, you know what? I'm in the mood to buy a hot toy today. I want to buy a new toy to put on my shelf back here. And unfortunately, Ann, because she's a bigwig over at Hasbro, she worked late. She didn't get home till 7:30, and it's like, it's too late to go out now. So we didn't. But yes, I'm planning on getting at least one more hot toy in the next little while. Whether it's going to be an older one, or whether I can have the patience to wait to see the what they're going to have as far as Infinity War hot toys, because it's going to be tough not to buy a Thanos hot toy. And the Thanos hot toy is going to be expensive. I don't think I can afford it. It's probably going to be one of those $700 or $800 ones, and I probably can't afford that. So I'll probably go buy one of those, one of the older ones, for $200 or $300. It's been a while. It's been at least 6 months, maybe 7 or 8 months since I bought my last hot toy. The last one I bought was Odin the Allfather back there. That was the last one that I bought. So that was like between six months and a year ago. So it's been a while since I bought one. So I'm set up to buy a new one. I want to get a new one here soon. Miles Pardo writes, difference between game and sport. Well, think about it. I mean, I think something that's athletic. Game can be skill, but not necessarily athletic. Bowling to me is not a sport. Bowling's a game. You don't have to be an athlete. Just go look at a lot of the people who bowl, okay? They're not athletes. I would consider it a game, a game of high skill that everybody would kick my ass in, but I don't consider it a sport. To me, a sport is something you need to be an athlete to participate in. Hockey, basketball, football, MMA, track and field, things you have to be athletic to do. Games. Baseball, bowling, darts. Again, high skill level required, way beyond my skill level, but I just define them a little bit differently. But that's just my own personal definition. No one else has to adhere to that at all. Let's see. Carson Hutchison writes, question, are you familiar with the Warhammer 40K universe? And if so, do you think movie or HBO Netflix series would do well at some point if done well? Here's the thing. there have been a lot of movies and TV shows that have like done things that have very, very similar elements to Warhammer 40K. And 40K has borrowed a lot in its mythology from pre-existing movies and things like that. Warhammer 40K was really big. I remember I was playing Warhammer like 15 years ago. Me and my buddy Rodney, we had the big, my buddy Rod, who you've seen on my Star Wars show, Rodney Brazeau. I remember he had this big, giant table that was just filled with like buildings and structures and landscape and everything like that. And we used to play Warhammer on that. And that was a lot of fun, but I don't think it's in its prime anymore. So no, I don't see a Warhammer movie happening or doing very well today, to be honest with you. Let's see. Daryl Best Wadley writes, I loved Black Lightning this week. Your thoughts? Loved it. Loved it. I've actually got to get on Stardust and do my app as well. They're setting it up where Nessa is like, she might be the most powerful in the family. She may actually end up being the most powerful of all three of them, which I think is like really cool the way they're setting that all up. But yes, what they've done with Gambia is great. Gambia is probably my favorite character on the show. I'm loving Black Lightning. Just absolutely adoring that show. And yes, I really did like the episode this week. Punet Singh writes, hi, I love the show, obviously. Thank you so much, Punet. I have a suggestion. I know you are a busy man, but please could you be more active on the Facebook group? We miss you, man. Anyway, keep up the great work. And you know what? Yes, it's funny because I go in and I read the Facebook group every day. Like one of the first thing I do every morning is I pop open my thing, I check my Twitter, and I check my Facebook, and I check the Facebook group. And I read through the stuff there. But yes, it's because Anne was just mentioning that to me the other day, that for whatever reason, the last couple of weeks especially, I've just not been getting on the Facebook group, and I need to post more. I'm reading everything in there, but I just haven't been posting a lot in there, and I need to get on that and post more in there. And you are going to see me posting more in there, absolutely. Thank you for the reminder. Let's see. Cameron Belgrade writes, just watch Phantom Thread Night. I think you meant tonight. Just watch Phantom Thread tonight. I'm going to miss Daniel Day-Lewis. As a film fan, I always wanted to see him and Meryl Streep in a film together. Oh my God, I think the universe would just collapse upon itself. Can you imagine that? Putting Danny, probably the greatest actor of all time, and probably without hesitation or without much opposition, pretty universally understood as the greatest actress of all time, putting them in the same movie together, the universe would just collapse upon itself. And yes, it is very difficult to imagine that we're not going to see Daniel Day-Lewis again in a movie. For those of you who didn't know, he last year they announced that Phantom Thread was going to be his final film. And that's not surprising. I don't think he likes working all that much. He was only doing one movie every 2 or 3 years. Whereas The Rock has like 13 movies lined up to come up in the next 5 years. Daniel Day-Lewis is doing like one film every 2 or 3 years. So it just sucks. The greatest actor of all time not being in any more movies. It's devastating to me. All right. Just got a few minutes left here. And this one comes to us from Jordan Benjamin, who writes, hey, John, just seen a set photo of Infinity War. Cap is wearing his first Avenger costume, and he's in a scene next to Iron Man and Ant-Man. Time travel confirmed? No. Time travel not confirmed. We talked about this with the Captain Marvel stuff. Be very careful about building your theories around set pictures without context. Now, yes, could it suggest time travel? It could. Yes, it could. But it's like those Scoot McNairy pictures from the set of Batman vs. Superman. Could that have confirmed that Scoot McNairy was the Flash? Could have. Could have suggested he was the Flash. Or as Jason Inman pointed out, a lot of people thought he was going to be Green Lantern. It could have. Those pictures could have pointed to him being Green Lantern. Turns out, as we all know, it was neither of those. Even though there were websites running, confirm Scoot McNairy is Flash in Batman vs. Superman, all because of a picture that was given without context. Yes, the picture can look like something. Just be cautious about building all types of theories around it when we don't know the context. It could be that. I'm not saying it's not. It could. But be very, very careful about throwing words like confirmed. No, it's not. Until Kevin Feige comes out and says it, it is not confirmed. All you have is a couple of pictures without any context given to them, and we're just theorizing and building our own, using our own imaginations, building constructs around that as to what it could be. And it could make sense, and it could very well be that. Just be careful about building huge theories around pictures without context. Let's see here. Old Flicks Joe writes, RoboCop or Terminator. Easy. I love me RoboCop. RoboCop's a classic movie. It's great, but to me, no questions asked. Terminator. Easy. Koba, Batman versus Godzilla. I'm telling you, Batman wins. I am telling you right now, Batman wins. Batman versus Godzilla, Batman wins. Somehow, some way, the detective will come up with the little weakness about Godzilla that nobody else ever found out or knew about, and Batman wins. I'm just telling you right now, as ridiculous as it sounds, Batman beats Godzilla. Koba writes again, what happened to Gareth Edwards? He had a big hit like Godzilla and Rogue One, yet he seems to have disappeared. Good question. Hold on a second. Let me just look up Gareth Edwards. If I'm not mistaken, I remember he was working on something as a producer recently. Where did it go? I thought he was working on something as a producer recently. Not really sure. Like, as of right now, on his IMDb, he doesn't have anything lined up at the moment. So, don't know. But, I mean, he could be another situation like a Daniel Day-Lewis. Hey, I've worked a ton. I did these 2 monster films, no pun intended. I did these 2 monstrously big films. I'm going to take 4 years off. I'm going to take 5 years off or whatever. So I really wouldn't read too much into that. But as of right now, no, he doesn't have anything on there. Okay, let's see here. Ali Hussein writes, I just watched Ready Player One. It was amazing. Are you going to do a spoiler talk for Ready Player One? There's so much I want to talk about. I hadn't considered doing a spoiler talk, but you know what? Maybe I should. See, here's the thing. Spoiler reviews, because I like to do my spoiler reviews live, so there can be interaction and talking about the movie. But they're only generally good if they're going to be really big films. Because if there's not a lot of people who run out and see an opening weekend, then there's not a lot of people to watch the video, right? But, I mean, if Ready Player One can get over $50 million, maybe that's enough. Maybe I do an open, spoiler-filled discussion of it on Saturday or Sunday. Let me think about that. That's not a bad idea. Let me think about it. Let's see. Where do we go? Haskell writes, John, 2 hours until Scooby Natural. Woohoo! I know, man. You know what? I might not even be able to watch it tonight. I might have to watch it in the morning because I got some things going on this evening, but maybe I will have a chance to watch it tonight. But Scooby Natural is tonight. Yo Mama's Llama writes, more with The Last Jedi Bombers. The Last Jedi Bombers. Not the fact that ship in orbit, bombs propelled downward, ship has art, dot, gravity equals momentum, carries bombs through space. Interesting. It sounds like there might have been some kind of a science video on that. Everybody wants to talk about The Last Jedi Bombers all of a sudden. Thank you for throwing that in there, yo mamas. Let's see. Next one, and these will be the last 2 questions here, and we're right on the hour mark here. Ali Hussein writes, man, that ending in Black Lightning was unexpected. Were you expecting that? Hold a second. What was the exact ending? I can't remember the exact ending now. What was the exact... Oh, yes. With the woman. Yes. Caught me totally off guard. Caught me completely off guard. I did not see that coming from a mile away. Did not see it coming at all. And it's not easy for shows to completely surprise me. That completely surprised me. So yeah, that was big. The final question of the day, Mr. M9991 writes, post-credit scene for Infinity War, Iron Campea, had to John. Yes, I will be in the post-credit scene. It's going to be me and Jennifer Garner in our respective Iron Garner and Iron Campea outfits. And it might be rated R. Just going to warn you right now, might be rated R. Anyway, guys, that will do it for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This is like one of the highlights of my day is just sitting down, just doing Open Mic, having the exchange with you guys. Thank you so much. Don't forget again, guys, the Stardust app. Go and get the Stardust app. Sorry that I forgot to put the link in the description below, but go check it out. Make sure when you download it, make me the first person you follow. Just follow at John Campea. Make sure I'm the first person you follow. Send in, it can be about anything. Send in your reaction to a trailer, to a movie you just saw, to an old movie you want to recommend to people, or your specific homework right now is sending me your reactions to Ready Player One. That's the specific homework right now. All right, guys, that'll do it for me. Thanks so much for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until the John Campea Show tomorrow morning, bye-bye.